You've seen the image about 100 times by now. The steeple in Stowe, Vermont. I wanted to create this video to show a few different things you can do on your New England vacation to Stowe in the fall, and a few things that we didn't do that were very popular on YouTube. They might be for some people, but not all, and I hope someone can find some inspiration and hopefully go visit. I was a little nervous watching my own YouTube videos before going at what the experience might be like, but luckily we went at a great time and had an amazing experience. So I'll give you a few tips and tricks that I learned along the way that hopefully will help make your trip a little bit better. And I'll show how we got there and probably do a couple other videos on our other stops. We drove up from Virginia Beach to Boston, and then we stopped in New Hampshire the next day to go to Branch Brook Campground to see the birches, and then we went to the Kankamangas Highway. We weren't able to do the whole highway because we didn't have enough time, but it was definitely worth checking out, and I'll do a separate video on that. Then we made our way to Vermont. We stayed at AWOL in Stowe, Vermont, which was beautiful, affordable. They had a beautiful, healthy breakfast that was included with the stay, a jacuzzi, a sauna, and I think an ice plunge as well. We also had access to the sister hotel, which was a short walk away, called the Katy Hill Lodge, which included access to an indoor pool. It had a great location where you could walk to restaurants across the street, and the staff was amazing. Now, I did have some personal issues with our room, but keep in mind I'm a very sensitive person and very particular. So our bed was at an angle that was odd, so it was hard to sleep, and there was a fire or smoke detector right above the bed, which flashed red. So I had to sleep with something over my eyes, like an eye mask. The room itself was beautiful, but I will say the table was a bit high for the bench that was there, and the bench was a little bit lumpy. The shower was great. They also had a garden cart to carry your luggage to your room, which you have to manually physically do. They did have a ramp, so we were able to use that, and luckily my sister is a little stronger than I am, and that was over gravel. It worked, but it was something that I feel like it should be of note if you're going to go to this location and you are not strong, or you have, need some ADA compliance. Just keep that in mind. That night we walked over to the bench to eat dinner. And it was really busy. However, they gave us, they did like a text thing. So we were able to actually go back to our hotel room and wait until they texted us and just walk back over, which was amazing. The next morning, we headed over to AJ's Bike Rentals, which was right around the corner from our hotel. And I had booked our bike rentals online a couple months, I would say, prior to the trip. When we got there was nobody there, so it probably would have been fine without booking a rental in advance, but I would still suggest doing that just so you can make sure if this is something you're interested in doing. A tip here is that you can access the Stowe Rec Path directly from AJ's, going behind some commercial buildings, so it's really easy if that's where you get your bikes from. They also have parking there, so if you are not close by and you need to park while you do the Stowe Rec Path, they do allow that, which was awesome. So we spent probably a couple hours on the Stowe Rec Path. It was my favorite thing I did the whole trip, I would say. It was just beautiful. We did the e-bikes, which helped get us up and down. It's a little hilly, it's not too bad. Kids can do it. It's very family friendly. Everybody was super nice that we crossed on the path, and it was just beautiful. You go through wooded areas, along waterways, and then there's also openings where you can see mountain views, which is awesome. And then I think they even had like a corn maze in the middle. The Rec Path also goes behind several places that you can eat. We stopped at Piecasso on our way back, which I'll show in a moment here. But I would definitely suggest planning on eating at one of the locations nearby because it's easy, it's accessible, and you can park your bikes right there, eat, and then head back in on your way back. Just make sure you check the times that the place is open. We got lucky and got in right as Piecasso was opening. They had delicious food and amazing service. The server there, I wish I could remember her name. She was so kind and very personable. There were some benches near the cornfield opening that you could sit on and rest as well. And then at the end, we got to this bridge. The covered bridge is at one end of the path, the Rec Path. And it was really cool. We took some pictures there and then headed back. Stopped at some more waterways. I mean, everything is right there off the trail. You can park your bike and just walk a few feet, and the water's right there. There's a cute gazebo we went to.
Ooh, this is pretty. Do you want to stop here or no? Okay.
So this area, they had benches and picnic tables and a little corn maze that you could go through with like sweeping mountain views. It was gorgeous. This is Piecasso, where we sat outside to eat. It was a beautiful day, and they had these hop vines all around. It was just such a gorgeous view. Again, great service and delicious food. After lunch, we drove down the street a little to the Stowe Community Church Viewpoint Overlook, which is right next to, or in the parking lot, I should say, of Tangerine and Olive, which is a cute little gift shop. And we took our quintessential Stowe photos. Next, we drove about 25 minutes to Lake Elmore, and a storm was rolling in, so we got really lucky that there was nobody there. You can also camp here, which is a much cheaper option, and they also have hikes, which we drove up Beach Road to the top. It was beautiful. There's a couple hikes you can do off of there, I believe, as well. dinner, we went to American Flatbread back at Stowe, and this was the best pizza I've had in my entire life. My sister had this squash soup that she really loved as well. I had the Vermont maple pizza, I believe. It's really interesting and delicious, and the vibe there was very casual. The next morning, we ate at the Skinny Pancake, which was also right by our hotel. It was delicious again, great food in this area. I got some coffee for my mom. My sister had a hot chocolate. I think we both got crepes. We got there very early, so there was really nobody there, but it was really yummy. Our next stop was Mount Mansfield. We made sure to get there, I think almost as soon as they opened up so that we could beat the crowds, which was a great idea. It was a little overcast when we started out, which also helped with the crowds, but we got there, and I think the tickets were about $40 a piece to ride the gondolas to the top. It was very chilly at the top, so just make sure you're checking the weather and bringing layers. And but once we got to the top, there were some periods of time where it cleared up and it was sunny, and then the crowds came in. But the ride up there was so fun and beautiful. And then at the top, you can do there's at least one hike up the top. There's 2 restaurants, I believe, or at least 2 places you can get food. And there's a really cute little gift shop where I spent way too much money, but I do not regret it. And I'm just going to go through the videos here and show you what that was like and add some photos at the end. At the top of Mount Mansfield is the Cliff House restaurant where we had lunch. It was, again, great food, decent pricing, and the views were amazing. This was a window that we got to look out of while we were eating. I had a delicious salad and dessert. It got a little bit foggy at the top. But they do have an outdoor seating area as well for when the weather is a bit more tolerable at the top. But again, amazing views at the top. They also had some really nice artwork inside Cliff House Restaurant. There was a separate area to get waffles across the building, but we wanted to do a sit-down lunch. There's also this lookout at the top that you can climb to get even better views, which I highly recommend going up. People were very nice, taking turns and letting everybody get their photos and videos. And this may be a little odd, but I was very impressed with how warm and clean the bathrooms were. There was a large bathroom up at the top, and then once you get to the restaurant, there's an additional bathroom that you can go to, a single-use bathroom. But then we made our way down the mountain on the gondola, and it got sunny, so we got some really cool views, and I will let you enjoy that now. Next, we decided to drive up through Smugglers Notch to get to the Smugglers Notch Distillery to get a few unique souvenirs for our husbands and friends. And we also found Wycoff Family Maple and got some unique syrups. They have like different flavor mixes. That was really cool, and they had these really neat statues out front. So I would really suggest going to these places if they interest you, because you can drive through Smugglers Notch to get there and then stop at Smugglers Notch on the way back, which I'll go into in a little bit. It was a really cool area to go to that wasn't initially part of our plan. Wycoff Family Maple also had these amazing wooden carved sculptures inside the building all throughout. So I went around and took some pictures, and they had these cool antler chandeliers. Just a really cool place, and a special place to get very unique souvenirs from. Also, this pure sugar maple candy there that reminded me of the Friends episode with Ross. Once we were done there, we drove back to get to Smugglers Notch, and the drive even to Smugglers Notch was gorgeous. I did take some video of this. I should have cleaned off my windshield beforehand, but it's still beautiful. So I suggest, if you are going to be wanting to tape your drive through Smugglers Notch, make sure your windshield is clean, and then also you might want to bring a separate phone or camera and charger backups, because the batteries go really fast in the mountains. It was a constant issue that we kept running into, but you can also try to put your phone on airplane mode to see if that helps. But I did get some really pretty fall foliage on the drive through and to Smugglers Notch. So this is the entrance to Smugglers Notch, and I would suggest going through one way, just driving it the whole way without stopping, especially if you want to get video footage of it, and then go back through it and make every stop along the way that you can. There's a ton of pull-offs where you can get photos, videos, but there's also restrooms and hikes. There's one area that has this huge stair climb. There's a rock wall, not like a rock wall, but a rock climbing type boulder, maybe is a better word for it, type of hike. There's a cave, just really awesome places to pull off. There are even some pull-offs that have parking lots. Most of them are not like that, but just amazing views. So yes, I would suggest drive through one way and then come back and make every stop, and do some hikes, or even just sit and just appreciate nature. It was so beautiful. This was my second favorite thing I did in Stowe, or tied with the Rec Path maybe.
Yeah.
It can get a little crowded, so you want to make sure you're going slow and watching out for pedestrians. People do cross this road quite often, and even though it's crowded, there was always a place for us to park. We did initially get there really early when we first drove through. There was like nobody there, but then we took a while at the shops, and then on the way back it was pretty crowded, but it still was definitely doable and relaxing and not too stressful.
Dana said, "This is probably not safe," and I said, "Probably not," and she said, "I'm gonna do it." And there she goes. Up a dry waterfall. I have you on video.
This was the epic stair climb hike that my sister did.
Perspective.
On our way back to the hotel, we stopped at Von Trappe Family Lodge and Restaurant for dinner, which I highly recommend. The food there was probably the best food I had the whole trip as a full meal. It's really hard to say that though, because I liked a lot of the stuff I had, but the atmosphere as well was really cool. And then after we ate, we went out to, I guess, the backside of the lodge where they have like the rolling hills and the cows, and they have Highland cows, and then there's just this beautiful view of the mountains in the back. The next morning we were leaving, but we stopped at Stowe Bakery for some breakfast. They had delicious breakfast sandwiches that were made from scratch, it seemed like, and we also got some cute macarons. And then we headed out on I-89 South, which was a beautiful drive. I wish I would have recorded it, but unfortunately I didn't. But basically anywhere you drive in Vermont is beautiful. I would say if you have the option to visit Stowe during the week, that's going to be your best time frame to beat the crowds. Just make sure that the attractions you want to go to are going to be open on certain days. Like I think Monday, certain places are closed. Waking up early and getting to a location as soon as it opens definitely helped us to beat the crowd. So I would recommend doing that if possible. I would suggest location batching your itinerary, especially if you're only going to be there for a few days. We were only there 3 days, and what I did was I grouped the places that I wanted to go by day. So, for example, the first day, pretty much everything we did was in downtown Stowe except for Lake Elmore. And then the second day, everything was in the location where Mount Mansfield, Smugglers Notch was, and the Von Trappe was on the way back. Surprisingly, we didn't have to make many reservations except for the bike rentals beforehand. Some restaurants in the area do not take reservations, but you just want to double check the hours to be sure. So pretty much every YouTube video that I researched before making my trip had a few things on the itinerary that I thought about doing, but once I got there, I realized that wasn't specific to, what I really wanted. I feel like following your whimsy is knowing yourself, knowing what's really important to you on the trip, especially if you have time constraints, and then also being spontaneous, which I'm not great at, but my sister is great at. So if there's something that catches your eye, don't be afraid to pull over and check it out, like Wycoff maple syrup place that we went to, and the Distillery was really cool. That whole area was really cool. So definitely make some space for spontaneity, and also just avoid some of the attractions that people recommend that, maybe don't seem to fit what you really want. For example, 2 of the places that I found on a lot of the YouTube videos were the Apple Cider Mill and the Ben & Jerry's. I'm not the type of person that really wants to see how the sausage is made, and some of the locals were also saying it's kind of touristy, trappy. I prefer seeing the outdoors. The whole reason I go to a whole nother state is to see what's out there, not necessarily be in a shop, but some people love that, especially with families. Those could be really great locations. So just follow your whimsy and your trip will turn out great. Lastly, I will say to check the peak map before planning your trip to try to get to see the peak fall foliage wherever you're going. We got there just after peak, but it still was beautiful. However, in general, this area's peak is usually the end of September or early October. But you can go to explorefall.com to check out the peak maps. It's interactive, and I'll show you here. And I'll leave links in the descriptions for all the places that I've talked about or resources that I've mentioned. Have a wonderful fall foliage trip.